Yes, give it up. Christy, I have so many questions for all three of you, but to start, I would love to hear, when you started writing this project, what was your, was your seed like starting, did you want to do a really contained like two-hander, or was your starting point like exploring daddy issues and all the themes of the film, or what kind of led you into the project?
I think it's a storyteller's job to wonder about things and to be a keen observer of the world and to wonder about yourself. And, the thematics of the story, there are a lot of things. So I think there were just all these topics were swirling in my brain, and I had to believe that I wasn't the only one. And I started writing it, and I actually thought it might be one of the last things I ever wrote because I was really struggling as a playwright in New York. And, I was being produced in different parts of the country, but until you're on Broadway or off Broadway, or you get a production in a significant regional house, no one knows who you are, and so it's really hard to make a living. So honestly, when I put pen to paper, I just kind of went for it because I didn't know if it would be my swan song or not.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And Sean and Dakota, I'm really curious to hear how you both got involved. What led you to the material? Did you already have a relationship with Christy, or was it the material spoke to you? And who came on first?
Well, I read the script and thought it was incredible a long time ago, and then it sort of took on another life and went down a different path, and then that kind of took on another life and became more available. Christy at the time was roommates with my producing partner, Ro, so we came on to produce the movie, and I basically begged Christy if I could play Girly, and Christy really wanted to actually direct the film. That was her real truth. And Ro and I wanted to support that. So we started on this path of producing Daddio as a tea time production with Christy and Emma Tillinger. And then we were trying to figure out who would be the best Clark. And luckily, I live very close to Sean. So I brought him the script.
And take it away. Sean, I'm curious, when you read it, what spoke to you in it?
I was, delighted. Thank you, by the way. I was delighted at the idea that Dakota had something that she wanted to do together. I had been, really taken with the choices that she'd made and how great she was in these beautiful movies that she'd gone after and was doing. And I thought, well, if it's, so far the betting odds are getting pretty good. This is going to be something. And then I read the script, and man, I felt like I'd been given a gift. It was just a beautiful script to get. And so then we went and took a walk and talked about it, and then I got in touch with Christy, the two of them, it would be FaceTime or something. I think
yeah, it was a Zoom the first time that I met you.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I have to say, at Film Independent, as many of you here probably know, we work with so many first-time directors trying to get their first film package put together, financed, and made. And this is like such a dream scenario. This is your first feature, right? So it's really, it turned out beautifully, first of all, and first and foremost, but to like assemble this cast and to sort of establish the scope of production that you did is really remarkable. And can you talk, actually, I have probably more questions that we'll even have time for, but on the production, you shot most of this on a stage, correct?
That's right. So we're a very indie film. So we had a limited budget and we had a limited time. We had to shoot this in 16 days. So I'll try not to bore you, because God knows I can talk about how we pulled this off for hours. But yeah, we kind of, it just lended itself to, I think, the best choice for the constraints that we had. So, at first you think, oh, let's trailer them, But that would have meant all night shoots. It would have been grueling. This drive is very distinctive, so we wanted to get it right. And then also continuity would have been a nightmare, and our ability to reset all of it. So then you think, okay, well, maybe we can go onto a soundstage. And then you think maybe we could use blue or green screen. But you have to roto around the hair. I mean, even to be able to get the light shining through the hair, it just sent me down a path of just doing research and just stumbling upon this incredible technology where, so basically, like when he picks her up at the airport, when he drops her off, all the B-roll of the cab actually driving on the Van Wyck and everything, all that was done practically. But everything interior in the cab was done on a soundstage. And we surrounded the cab with these LED walls, basically, that we could move around. Like giant iPads is the best way I know how to describe it. And they were projecting in 4K. We basically shot the drive on an array car with 9 cameras. And so we're projecting the drive. And it gave a really incredible immersive experience, I think, a sense of time and place for our incredible cast. And then also, it allowed Fade and Papa Michael, our incredible DP, he and I could be at the monitor and we could see what it was actually going to look like. Then we could really play with it. We could add textures. We could scrub past certain backgrounds that didn't look as nice. The soft light engages with the environment, and then Faded could put hard light. Like, for example, if a car went by Sean, then Faden could hit him with hard red light as if it was the tail light, so that it was all immersive and it was all textured. And when the background and foreground is all filtering through the lens at the same time, all that information is being captured by the camera at the same time. It gives it a look of reality. I do think this technology is the wave of the future. I do think especially really small independent movies, it really allows a filmmaker to really fulfill their vision. Because honestly, I think this film would have been pretty unproducible had we not had access to this technology.
It looks gorgeous,
I could
too.
produce it.
Yeah.
I could do it.
And we did it. It just would have swelled the budget into tens of millions of dollars.
So given the LEDs and everything, were you guys in an actual taxi cab, or was it did it break apart?
We had 2 cabs on the stage. One was a full cab and one was a cab cut in half, where sometimes Sean would be very far away from me, actually, in the half cab. So like the front of the cab would be 12 feet from the back of the cab. It was like a limo.
So in terms of acting together, you're acting off of what you see in the rear view mirror, the back of his head when he turns to you, and you're acting off of what she's saying to you or what you. But there's no moment in the cab. There are very few moments where you turn and face each other and have that kind of direct interaction. Is that right? And what was that? I'm really curious what that experience was like for both of you.
It was pretty amazing because for the first chunk of the movie, I'm only seeing his eyes in the rearview mirror, and then the back of his head and the side of his face, sort of like his jaw a bit. And that's the experience of being in the back of a car, really, is you kind of imagine what your driver's life is like or what his face is like. You imagine the details. And then because there's this moment where there's a pause and he actually turns around to face Gurley, it's like meeting a whole new person. It's a new meeting. It's a new introduction to him in a way. Well, obviously the audience has seen his face, but it's a different connection. So it was really an amazing way to work with someone because it felt so insular and so quiet and private, and then also so vulnerable and intimate simultaneously.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It was, and even though there is the driving of it, meaning attention to the road, that felt like it was there. These projections are so lifelike in that way. The way, being able to see her very clearly in that rearview mirror, and the way that so much of the story is if not engaged directly in conversation, it's sort of observing each other, and being surrounded like that. We didn't really see much of the crew or anybody, and Christy would poke her head in once in a while, but it was really it was a real kind of good quiet space. And
were you shooting long takes?
A lot of long takes, yeah. It was a great experience that way. That it had a kind of a lot of the sort of intimacy that happens in it. You felt it in that private space. It was great.
One of the things I love about the film is how, I don't know, modulated the whole experience. It feels organic and lived in and raw, what's happening in the cab. But there are those moments, like Dakota, you were saying, when he turns and looks at you. It's like it's a shift in the movie. And there's a lot of those throughout the film that I thought were so powerful, where there's this dynamic that's evolving as the film goes on. I mean, it's a testament to your writing and directing, Christy, but also to your performances where you let those colors in. And I did want to jump to the end of the film. I think the final sequence when you tell your final, the number 4, all the way up to you going in the house is like, first of all, it's a master class in just beautiful acting between the two of you, being so real and in the moment, but also like the writing of that was, I just thought, beautiful. Like, you reveal so much, and like when Sean puts his hand out and then you touch his face, like it just like brings me to tears. And Sean, I mean, you've obviously been in countless roles and won 2 Oscars and all that, but this, I've never seen you, I felt like there was a tenderness in your performance that was really, like, you're this gruff guy who says a lot of inappropriate things and all of that, but like there's a fundamental tenderness that it's there throughout, but in the end, when you guys are on the sidewalk, from both of you, it was beautiful.
Well, you used the word modulation, and I mean, Christy's writing is so assured that so much of all of that was specifically in the plan she wrote, and explicitly, and then when because you was trying various things and. Not the language. Language was so good. We just pretty much said everything that as she wrote it. But I felt very carried by the script, and also, she would step in sometimes and maybe remind or recolor the way that she thought that modulation would work, and it was. These things, it started on the page, and again, just feel really grateful to have been part of it.
Well, I have one last question, and it's tangential maybe, but the car crash that you guys passed, that was like a really significant moment as well that goes outside the cab. And I'm curious, was that on the screen, on the LED, or was that practical?
Yeah, that was practical. So day 3, because we wanted to shoot linearly, so they could really go on the ride of pure strangers all the way to the end when he drops her off. So day 3, we left the soundstage and we shot the car accident. And then we had to shoot the plates of the car accident that then would play on the LED walls, so that then our next shooting day, that could be there. So again, everything interior of the cab is still on a soundstage. Those plates were shot the day before.
Wow.
Which was terrifying because, It was terrifying because it was supposed to rain that night when we did the car accident and shot the plates. And I was just horrified as a first timer because we didn't have cover sets. We didn't have, ability to be too nimble. So I was just like, it can't just be raining while they're stuck in gridlock. And I remember we wrapped by 3 a.m. and the sky opened up and it just poured down. Wow. It was just one of those moments where I do think movies are miracles. And yeah.
Well, congratulations to all of you. Everybody tell your friends to go see this film. And thank you for coming out so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.